Welcome to mediamelanietv. Today I'm back to talk about The Summer I Turned Pretty, Season 3. If you are still emotionally reeling from this 2-episode premiere of the final season, you're not alone. In fact, you can go watch my reaction and review video where I shared all of my thoughts. But in today's video, I'm going to preview what we could potentially see in Episode 3. Now, first and foremost, we've actually seen quite a bit of what they showed us in the trailer, but one thing we do not know is episode titles for the season. They are not released anywhere. The show is keeping things very tight-lipped, which I understand, and that also makes me wonder if perhaps they will go off course from the ending of the book or not. That said, I have not read the book, so please do not drop any book spoilers in the comments. I appreciate it. I am approaching all of my coverage of this show just as a TV viewer. The show is also not releasing a lot of photos. There are a limited supply of episodic photos available on the press page, but not a lot that we really haven't seen or anything that doesn't give us actual context. So today I'm just going to go off vibes of what we know and what we can expect following this very impulsive engagement, the potential return of Conrad, hopefully in episode 3, like give us more Conrad now, Team Conrad, by the way. And also, is Belly going to go to Paris after all or not? The one storyline I probably care about least, and the coupling that I just don't love, Steven and Taylor, not going to get a lot into them because they're back to their old ways, doing this whole push and pull, will they, won't they situation. Honestly, I could really care less at this point, and yeah, I'm glad Steven survived the car accident, and it was an epiphany for Taylor. But the way Steven woke up and was like, yeah, this was really a wake-up call, we shouldn't be together. First of all, I think he's lying. These two just need to put their silliness aside and give in to the fact that they could completely be soulmates and endgame here. That said, really don't care what actually happens to them, but thought I should mention them since obviously they're a big part of this whole story. Am I alone? Are there other Steven Taylor haters out there? If so, please drop it in the comments and let me know that I am not alone in this. And speaking of people I'm just not loving so far, Jeremiah. He is a big man baby. He can't even manage to take the classes he needs to graduate. And then the way he treated Belly about that and having kept Cabo a secret. Let me ask you this. Do you think that Jeremiah knew all along that Lacey and him were going to have something happen? Why else would he have kept this trip such a secret from Belly and only let her know at the very last minute when she actually just saw the alert come through? Why did you do this, Jeremiah? Was he looking for one last hurrah, one final spring break? And also, did something happen between him and Lacey before that made him think that there could be some potential hookups happening? Did they maybe make out and then in Cabo things went a little bit further than that, and twice for that matter? I don't know. I guess, yeah, technically they were on a break, but if I was Belly and he kept that secret, I don't know if I could have come around so fast to forgive him. Never mind say yes to the most impulsive engagement ever. She didn't even let him get the question out before she said yes. And not that the ring matters, but let's face it, Jeremiah has the means to get her a beautiful ring. He should have waited, done it the right way, presented her with that gorgeous ring, but instead, this is all seemingly out of guilt, and my biggest fear is that Belly is not going to go to Paris. I'm hoping in episode 3 we can see this decision-making process. Hopefully Laurel and Taylor, and Steven for that matter, will talk some sense into her, and let's say Conrad does return in this episode, they have a conversation. Is Conrad going to be supportive of Belly going to Paris? I think so. We know Conrad is coming back at some point. Obviously, we've seen that in the trailer. Will episode 3 be the dedication ceremony for Susannah's garden memorial? In the trailer, we saw that dinner scene, everybody together. I imagine it is from this event. And they drop the engagement bombshell, and Laurel's like, what? Steven's like, Conrad, did you know about this? Nobody knew about it. And I think the person who's going to be impacted most from not knowing is obviously Conrad. Just given what has transpired between these two brothers, I think it might have been nice of Jeremiah to give him a call, give him some sort of heads up so he didn't have to find out like everybody else, like common courtesy. And next question, if Jeremiah asks Conrad to be his best man, will he say yes? And let's say he does and the wedding actually goes off. Conrad's already going to be up there at the altar standing by Jeremiah's side. Will that be his opportunity to stand in and say, you know what, this wedding shouldn't be happening? Or is it going to be Belly who calls the wedding off? Is Belly going to choose herself or end up with Conrad? That's a whole nother conversation that I'll get into in another video. But where are you guys so far with the season in terms of the Jeremiah and Belly of it all? Conrad coming back and what that could mean for this engagement? And with the Paris thing, I mean, we all must think that Belly should go to Paris, right? There's no reason why a young woman who has this opportunity should ever turn down something like that. I never had the opportunity to go study abroad, but I've got to say, it's actually one of my biggest regrets not pursuing it. I had a lot of friends do that, in particular, a big group of friends I knew from high school that in college all went to Australia, and I was living for updates from them, living vicariously through their experience. So another piece of advice I'm going to impart on all of you 20-somethings who are like half my age: if you ever get an opportunity like this, go for it. Do not think twice. And certainly do not turn it down on behalf of a boy. Please. And let's hope that Belly does actually go to Paris. That said, we didn't see any filming in Paris. There were no behind the scenes of that, at least to my knowledge. Did anybody see any photos like that? Because I didn't. So I'm thinking probably not going to go to Paris. And episode 3 could be the episode when she makes that decision. Things are moving pretty fast so far through these first 2 episodes, and there are 11 in total. It seems like now with the engagement bombshell, perhaps we'll be getting back to a little bit of the maybe emotional weight from season 2, especially because we've got a Susannah tie-in, which is wonderful. Susannah was an exceptional character, a loving mom, and I like that they're still making her a part of this story because she was such a big part of it to begin with. Another thing we saw in the trailer was something between Taylor and Conrad. Conrad must have said something like, oh, I changed my mind, I still love Belly, whatever it was. And Taylor's like, hey, you just expect her to drop everything and drive off into the sunset with you because you remember she existed? I get where Taylor is coming from, but at the same time, after Jeremiah cheated, maybe she would be a little bit more open to Conrad, but at the same time, Taylor was also supporting Belly and getting back with Jeremiah. Taylor is a really good best friend, and I don't hate her as a character. I just don't love her and Steven together. Can't help it. So is it possible we will get that scene between Conrad and Taylor here in episode 3? I hope so, because that means we are establishing that Conrad still has feelings for Belly. And another thing I'm curious about, we had Agnes, who, yes, she is a platonic friend. There was an indicator that they've hooked up before, and okay, maybe there's no romance on the horizon for them, but will Conrad call her, confide in her, tell him what's going on, and she'll continue to be a good friend to Conrad? Could Agnes be a plot device and the person who is helping navigate Conrad through this difficult situation? I mean, she knows he's in love with Belly. She obviously knows that he's back there whenever he does end up arriving. So I'm wondering if this whole friendship situation will work in Conrad's favor to have a trusted person in his corner that he can confide in that is not related to his social circle or family. What do you guys think? So on the Belly front, we've got her accepting this engagement. I imagine they're going to make the announcement, go into wedding planning mode. How fast is the wedding going to happen? Are we talking episode 5 or 6? Are we talking episode 10? Something big happens and then in 11 we get the big finale? And again, I hope that Belly hasn't just pushed the whole Paris thing aside and that she's at least still considering it and somebody talks some sense into her going. And really, will Belly ever be able to fully get over Jeremiah's betrayal? Another question: what's going to happen when Jeremiah finds out about Conrad and Belly spending Christmas time together? Even if nothing happened, will he believe them when each one of them says, oh no, nothing happened, we just spent time together? In the back of his mind, I've got to think he's always going to think that they're not being honest with him, especially after he already betrayed Belly. And about that betrayal, do you think they were on a break and it was okay? And yeah, he obviously should have told her, but maybe it wasn't considered cheating. Or do you think Jeremiah is a big fat cheater? I lean more towards the latter. And if he was truly sorry for it, he would have told Belly up front and at least given her the opportunity to decide for herself if she wanted to be with him or not, instead of letting her find out in the worst way possible. And if Conrad does come back in the picture, we're going to get a major shift in the love triangle, bringing it back in full force for the season. Another character I'm curious to know the reaction to the engagement is Jeremiah's dad. They have a very strained relationship, and I can't imagine he's going to be very supportive of this. Doesn't seem like much of the family is. And if anybody's supportive of it, I would think it would have been like maybe Steven, but he seemed pretty surprised as well and bewildered, I think maybe like all of the rest of us here. That engagement came fast. So we've got a lot of possibilities for what we could see in episode 3. What are some of your predictions? We know that the heartbreak is far from over, and with this love triangle that we've seen all the way since season 1, how is it going to resolve? And hopefully it is with Belly and Conrad riding off into that sunset. Bonus points if it is to a Taylor Swift song, or hey, maybe Chappell Roan, who also fits in really well with all the needle drops of the show. I really appreciate you being here to watch my The Summer I Turned Pretty coverage. I will be here with 3 episodes a week, including a review, an episode preview like this one, and then a theory and discussion. This week's discussion will be on are Conrad and Belly endgame or not? So be sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my coverage. I'm also talking about some other shows right now, including The Buccaneers on Apple TV+. Now, if you haven't watched that show and you're a Summer I Turned Pretty fan, you gotta watch it for the yearning and the love triangles of it all. I'm also covering Dexter Resurrection on Paramount Plus with Showtime and The Institute on MGM Plus, which is a Stephen King adaptation. It's got a real Stranger Things dark vibe to it, and so far so good. By the way, a lot of people don't have MGM as a streaming service. Do not sleep on it. I encourage you to add it onto your Prime Video so you can watch The Institute and also catch up on the show From, which has 3 seasons, and not enough people are watching that mystery box show. And hey, if you need some other show recommendations, ask me in the comments and consider me your TV matchmaker. Thank you so much for being here. I've got a long-term goal of becoming a full-time content creator, so every time you join me here, comment, like, subscribe, it all gets me one step closer. I'll be back again very soon. Media Melanie, clicking off.